Welcome to Kiss Kiss Bang Bang, the big butch manly pop culture podcast that knows exactly what those ancient Greeks got up to. I'm Andrew Wheeler.
And I'm Shane Holland.
Today we're talking about the 2004 epic historical action film Troy, directed by Wolfgang Petersen and written by David Benioff, starring Brad Pitt, Eric Bana, Orlando Bloom, Diane Kruger, Sean Bean, Brian Cox, Brendan Gleeson, Rose Byrne, and Peter O'Toole. Loosely based on Homer's Iliad, the movie condenses the decade-long story of the Trojan War into a couple of weeks. Just a couple of weeks.
Really short.
Yeah. Achilles leads his Myrmidons as the Greek army invades the hysterical city of Troy.
Hysterical.
I mean, they had a reason. Defended by Hector's Trojan army. Troy was released to mixed reviews, but made over $497 million worldwide, making it the 60th highest-grossing film at the time of its release, which is good.
Very, and has since been far surpassed.
Yes, I think this was all before the Marvel movies, so it's probably slipped quite a bit since then. And of course, we now have the sequel coming out, Christopher Nolan's Odyssey, which is the reason why we're doing this.
Yeah.
Direct sequel to Wolfgang Petersen's Troy. No, but the spiritual successor, Sean Bean's Odysseus, now being played by Matt Damon. So it seemed like the right time to talk about this movie, especially in light of the fact that a lot of incels online are like, oh, well, Christopher Nolan's woke garbage. This is the real Homer classic movie. And it's like, is it? Is it? Let's find out. So tell me, Shane, what's your relationship to the movie Troy, 2004?
You know, considering this was the 60th highest grossing film of all time, I had never seen this movie.
Shocking.
I really love, Greek mythology, ancient mythology, gods and monsters and men. This just came out at a time that it, blew right past me. Didn't even notice it, had no intention of ever seeing it. And I kind of loved this film.
Wow. I was not expecting that.
I thought it was really fun. It's been a while since I've seen, a swords and sandals kind of flick.
Yeah.
But they are really exhilarating, and there were some really good performances here. Some were not. And there were some gigantic, glaring omissions and contractions and liberties taken in this.
Yeah.
But it didn't take away from my enjoyment of what it was, essentially. I gotta say.
I think that's fair, honestly. I saw this movie when it came out in theaters and saw it at least one or maybe two times since, but not in a while. And my overall, impression of the movie was that it was a stinker. You know, when I saw it in the theater, I thought, this was just badly written and a lot of hokum, but at least it was sort of pretty to look at, which is the reason that I would then go on to watch it at least one more time. Between then and now, obviously the boys are part of what makes it pretty to look at.
Yeah.
You know, it is more homoerotic than homo-inclusive, shall we say. So, yeah, I got something out of this movie. But now watching it back, it's like, it's pretty crowd-pleasing. The scale of it's really impressive.
Yeah.
And for the stuff that bothers me wouldn't necessarily bother the typical audience. And also it's just, yes, it's still kind of badly written nonsense that's compressing this epic story and giving it this Hollywood sheen, but it's not the definitive telling of the Iliad. No. So we could just live with it as an artifact, I guess.
Yeah, that's kind of how I feel. It definitely feels like it's of a time when and forgive me, our friend Carl, I know that this is not the fun, but when that papyrus script pops up on screen, giving us the prologue to the events here, I was like, oh, wow, we have not used this in a film in a long time.
Carl went on a specific, lecture about he went on a journey to find out what that font actually was and did find it. And here we are, just straight up calling it papyrus again.
Yeah.
It's not papyrus, but I can't find my phone, so I don't know what it was.
Starts with a V, I want to say. Carl is spinning in his grave.
No, we killed Carl. Yeah, it's very much of the sort of this and Kingdom of Heaven and this
Hmm.
whole era of like suddenly we were making, I mean, kind of on the back of Gladiator, which had been
That's
10,
exactly it.
10 years earlier by this point, something
No,
like.
Gladiator came out in
No?
2000, and this came out in what, 2004?
2004? Okay,
Yeah,
4 years earlier.
4 years.
Gladiator feels so much older to me than this movie. It feels like
Interesting.
Gladiator feels like a movie classic.
That's so interesting because I feel like Gladiator feels more recent than
Huh.
this. I like in my
It's
mind, Gladiator has like an HD quality to it that
right.
this film does not. That there is less CG in Gladiator. That there's something a
Mm,
bit more timeless about Gladiator that makes it a bit more relevant. Whereas
yeah,
this, I mean, there is a lot of CG. There are so many like big battles that could be from I mean, they could be from a Marvel movie, but they could also be from The Matrix, you know?
right. Yeah. Yeah, well, I think we're coming at the same thing. Like, this feels like it's 2000s, and Gladiator feels bigger than
Yes,
a
okay.
particular era.
Okay, I like that take.
Yeah, Gladiator is a bona fide classic, and this is just one of the many movies that came out on the heels of Gladiator that made money and cost money. And, it was a time, and we're not making a lot of movies like that anymore because they don't make the money back. Got to put superheroes in it and got to film it all against a green screen or a volume screen, whatever those LCD
Yeah.
TV backgrounds are, which we were all so excited about for like a week. And then it's like, no, we've overdone it already. Already it's overdone.
If you want to see it done well, watch Heated Rivalry.
It's right.
Yeah.
Where you're never even looking at the backgrounds because there's a beautiful boy in front of you.
Just like this
That's
film, Troy.
just like this film. Like you, I am a big like sword and sandals person. That era of history is something that appeals to me, specifically from the Alexandrian history. Maybe we'll do the Alexander movie at some point. I don't know that I would put you through that. Have you seen that?
No, I've also not seen
No.
that, but I feel like I know that it will
It's
be
like 3
worse.
hours long. I don't think I could punish you like that.
But there is more queerness in there, is there not?
Yes, but also no. It's more queer, but also somehow more offensive about how it buries the relationship. So
Colin Farrell's just lisping and limp-wristed.
not quite that, though he was sleeping with the actress playing his mother at the time, who was Angelina Jolie, so who can
Oh,
blame,
right.
you
My
know,
God.
makes a lot of sense. Especially when you consider the relationship between Alexander and his mother. It was a very close relationship. Anyway,
Anyways,
and I'm a big fan of queer history, so and I know that Homer's Iliad was not a queer text particularly, but the intensity of that relationship is there. And historically, it is now understood insofar as were these historical figures? Other figures in history regard Achilles and Patroclus as
as lovers.
lovers, as
Mhm.
the sort of defining super couple of same-sex male love, including Alexander. Alexander and Hephaestion went to the tomb of Achilles and Patroclus and declared themselves like them. And there's no ambiguity there. So yeah, I saw this movie on release in part because of all those things fascinating and interesting me. And I think that in turn was why it ultimately disappointed me at the time, because I always had this lofty belief
Romantic.
that somehow, yeah, the queer love was going to be there on the screen, that like someone was going to be brave enough to do it right. And it wasn't this film.
No. I mean, part of this experience made me realize, like, you and I have lived through some pretty tumultuous times for gay people. Like,
Uh,
now we could potentially make this movie and at least allude to the fact that they were lovers.
yeah.
20 years ago, 22 years ago, they could not. But I feel like today you would be a fool to not broach the subject. And we'll see we will see with this Christopher Nolan film coming out how true that
Yes.
is. Although
Well,
I
it's
have
post Achilles and Patroclus, the film, so
yes, but
but we'll
we're
see
in
if
the
they
same
do other
era.
queer things. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah.
I feel like
They're
there's a chance that we are going to. I mean, look, the anti woke crowd is already up in arms, so we might as well go full throated into the night.
So there's two things Christopher Nolan does great. It's queer characters and women. So fingers crossed for that.
No, God, no.
Yeah, I think there's a greater chance of seeing that sort of story told properly now, but it's still very easy to erase us,
Yeah.
especially if something wants to make big money. There is a book called The Song of Achilles by Madeline Miller, which is front and center about his love story with Patroclus and tells the story of his youth, his upbringing, and his death. And it's really one of the best books of the past 20 years and an absolute new queer classic. And I thoroughly recommend that book to anyone. And it's it's a bestseller. So if they were to adapt that, I imagine it would be adapted for the small screen. But yeah, there would be no erasing the queerness from that. And so that's the most likely, I think, vehicle for another Achilles story in the immediate future.
I'm interested. I want to read it and I would love to see it.
Let's talk about the women of this movie. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's the first of our 5 pillars where we judge just how queer-friendly or progressive a film is. Oh my God, we're so woke. Oh, people are going to hate it.
Cancel us already.
So there are, by my count, 4 women in this movie.
Yes. I have 3. Yes, there are 4 women. There are 4 women.
There are 3 women and a cameo by Julie Christie,
That's it. Yes.
who happened to be on the beach at the time, and they're like, Julie, would you mind just doing 5 minutes? And she was
She
like,
didn't even
okay,
have to
fine.
change. Yeah.
She always dresses like a strange, washed-up woman on the beach. A goddess, sorry, like a goddess.
Goddess.
Yes.
Yes. Wow. Rose Byrne was so young in this film.
So young.
And still I found her captivating, even though she didn't have much to do.
No. You don't feel this is the Rose Byrne of Bridesmaids
No.
watching this film. It's you don't see fully what she's capable of becoming in this initial performance. But you're right, she is a very charismatic actor who, given nothing, will still deliver something. Yes, she plays Briseis, the wife of Achilles, so to speak.
Right.
The heterosexual relationship that stops Achilles from being a gay.
Always
Which,
happening. Yeah.
so common, such a common story, especially in the 1970s and 50s and much of the middle of the 20th century. A lot of men had wives, didn't know what to do with them. So yeah, Rose Byrne is our big female lead of the movie and a big romantic lead, even though the chemistry is not there between her and Achilles. And that's not because Achilles is being played gay. It's just there's no chemistry between Brad Pitt and Rose Byrne, it felt to me.
Which is crazy. They're both beautiful. How could there not be? I mean, we'll get to Brad Pitt. But I thought Rose Byrne did a pretty stellar job with what she was given. Now, I will say all the women have nothing to do in this film other than stare off in the distance and be damseled.
Right.
So it is really hard to judge the women characters. But at least Rose Byrne got to have not even action, but she was a part of the action. She was the impetus for action.
Yeah.
She got to hold a knife to her throat at one point. That was great. At least she
got to have
do.
big feelings.
Yeah, she had big feelings, exactly. She really did a range from I've been captured to I'm falling in love to get me the F out of here. She really got to do things in this that I cannot say for Anna Kruger, who is very pretty, but is she worthy of the legend of Helen?
I mean, considering that in this movie she's very pretty, but not quite as pretty as Paris.
That's the problem, is that she's outshone by her man, and she is supposed to be the face that launched 1,000 ships.
Yeah. People should have been fighting over a young Orlando Bloom instead. Yeah,
what a Helen.
it's an even more thankless role for Diane Kruger for sure, because yeah, she mostly just has to be, I don't know, worried.
Worried
Like
and sat
that's her
there.
main. Yeah, a little sad, a little concerned, but mostly impeccably beautiful. And yeah, I think Diane Kruger was a model before she was an actor, and this is very much a model performance rather than actor performance.
Yeah.
I don't think Diane Kruger places this one high on her personal resume. Yeah, it's very thin, and then we have Saffron Burrows as Mrs. Hector, also a very thin role.
Also
With
gets to be worried a lot,
yeah,
but she has a child, so there's a lot more crying.
that's true. That's
Yeah.
true. Yeah, I mean the role is very much below Saffron Burrows. I feel like
Yeah.
she's got a grit to her that the character does not exhibit at all.
No. And like that's about it. I now we love Julie Christie in this family.
Love.
Absolutely adore her, but she is truly a cameo in this film, and I believe
Yeah.
I popped my head up and was like, "Is that Julie Christie?" And then she was gone. And that's all I really have to say about the women. They looked as gorgeous as one would expect for a toga
For the
wearing
setting.
setting. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it's not a strong showing overall, it has to be said. So let's flip it around and look at the other side. There's a lot more to talk about with the boys in this
Yes, there
movie.
is.
I guess we should get straight into Brad Pitt as Achilles is carrying this movie on his broad shoulders and teeny tiny waist.
So tiny.
Yeah,
He eats something in every movie. I can't believe how tiny his waist
I
is.
I think he only eats when he's filming. That's why, you know?
That makes sense.
He eating things is his version of character. So yeah,
And
really
that's
brings it out.
and you'll notice he didn't eat anything in this movie, and so there was a lack of character.
That's what it is.
Look, I hate the long hair and I hate the terrible accent, but I do
And
kind of
and
love watching him be moody and angsty and vicious.
yes, which we now know to be the real face of Brad Pitt. Like he
Yeah,
is a bad human being,
yeah,
but appreciated as an just objectified. He is a very beautiful man, and that is basically his function in this movie, to be like gorgeous and lean and mad all the time at everyone. He's playing a petulant brat, and he does that very well.
quite well. Yeah, studied performance, some might say.
Mm. Mm-mm.
I do
Achilles, the
love
original movie star.
Yes, I love that Achilles had a signature kill move.
Yes.
Yeah, huh? And then stab in the neck. That felt like something out of the 90s, like some kind of
Yeah.
throat rip from Roadhouse
Or Mortal Kombat.
or Mortal Kombat.
There was a bit of like, because this is a film in which a lot of the battles become one-on-one
Hmm.
situations, and so there is a bit of fighting game to it all, like special moves and special equipment.
Finish him, just drags a body behind a horse. Speaking of, Eric Bana, I didn't realize that Eric Bana was ever hot.
That's shocking to me, yeah, because Eric Bana to me is hot first, and
Wow.
then he had a career afterwards where he sort of became the Michael Palin of Hollywood actors. Like he sort of
Wow.
became a documentarian and became sort of sweet almost. Like
Yeah, that, and I think that's why I don't consider him to be hot. But
yeah,
my God, like he's got quite the chest
yeah.
and
He
a
was
daddy vibe about him.
he was my eye candy in this movie over Brad Pitt, over Orlando Bloom, over Garrett Hedlund. This was always about Eric Bana as Hector for me. I think Hector as a character is actually more interesting potentially than
Yeah,
most of the other characters in this story. And yeah, Eric Bana just absolutely sells it as this Australian man for some reason in the middle of like modern day Turkey. But accents aside, he's giving a very broody, intense performance that is very sexy and is not hindered by his incredible arms, his gorgeous tan, and pretty good beard.
pretty good beard. Those triceps, the way they bulge outwards and give him this like fighting man stance where he's always leaning
Wingspan.
somehow. Oh my God. And yeah, I mean, it's so funny that I'm not really cheering for the gay in this movie. Like
Yeah.
I don't really care for Achilles, but I cared for Hector. That was surprising to me. I think if this
Yeah.
movie had been done better, I would have been cheering for Achilles.
Potentially, yeah. Like he doesn't have to always. Well, every version of Achilles is a stroppy little bitch,
Yeah,
honestly.
I mean he does
But he can
like
be more sympathetic. Like his boyfriend does die. It's
that's
pretty sad.
where I would have been
Right.
understanding of the whole dragging of Hector's body, right?
Yes. Yes. Well, we will discuss. Speaking of the Trojans, Orlando Bloom, as we've mentioned, is also in this movie playing Paris, the the man so pretty he launched 1,000 ships.
That's right. Orlando Bloom was like the big pre coming out crush for me. Like
Mhm.
Orlando Bloom as Legolas was my sexual awakening, and it's pretty hilarious now. But
Yes.
I did not feel that way for him in this film.
I mean, you didn't go see this film, so you must have already been over it.
Apparently, yeah. No, I think I just needed him to be in that wig. And now
Right.
I'm also like, I don't really like men in these kinds of ways. So I guess I've just completely changed as a person.
Watching House of the Dragon with just a furious glare at
Yeah.
all the wigs.
No, I'm so horny. I like Diana Kruger. I feel bad for Orlando Bloom in this movie
Mm.
because he doesn't get to do anything. And this is someone who spent like the previous 4 years to this being in what is considered one of the most epic films of all time and getting to fight all the time. And here he is waylaid time and time again.
Yeah, he is. Again, the character he's playing is basically a scrub. He's not a sympathetic character at all.
Selfish.
Especially so, I think, in this screenplay, and yeah, this performance doesn't romanticize Orlando Bloom, doesn't let him play the romantic hero because it turns out he's a twat,
Yeah,
and yeah, I think that undersells him. Also, he's a boy in a movie of men,
very
like.
evident.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and that comes through a bit in his performance. I've been unkind to Orlando Bloom in the past. I've always like he was not a crush for me really, and I always thought he was a bit of a flat actor. He's fine actually. You know, he does fine in this movie, although he doesn't sell you on liking Paris at all. But he gives a believable performance. Like I think Orlando Bloom is a perfectly adequate actor.
Yes. Orlando Bloom gets to choose his roles, and he chooses kind of the same role, and sometimes that works for him.
Now, did you follow him to the Pirates movies?
Yeah, and I really enjoyed him in the Pirates movies. I think he does like a good job in that. It those films allow him to show a bit of range, right? Because that's just the character's journey. This film there is no range. He's just like you said, some boring twat who stole a woman.
Yes. Yes. That's an issue.
Yeah.
There is another boy in this movie, Garrett Hedlund as Patroclus, who was literally 18 when they filmed
Oh,
this.
no, I should not be
Let me
having
say
these
that
feelings for
before
this
you say
man.
any more.
Gonna have to clear my search history.
This is a very baby Garrett Hedlund, very like pale blue eyes and
Pouty
I don't
lips.
know if he had freckles, but he felt like he had freckles.
Yeah, wow. So pretty. Love Garrett Hedlund, particularly because of that second Tron movie in which he's
Yeah.
so good. And I was like gobsmacked when I realized it was him in this,
Mm.
and how young he was. But I think he did a great job. And I think that Garrett Hedlund hasn't been given enough opportunities in his career.
No. Yeah, I think that's fair.
I was really happy to watch him in this, and like he was the only queer character for me in this movie. I'm just going to come out and
Right.
say it. He was the only one that gave me that energy that I was looking for every time he looked up at Brad Pitt with those baby doe eyes. I felt something stir inside me.
Yeah, I think that's a very fair reading. You can see Garrett Hedlund maybe is he seems to be an intelligent performer, and I could see that he would put that into his performance, whereas I'm sure Brad Pitt put none of that in his performance. I'm trying to think if Brad Pitt's ever played a queer character. There must be something.
I'm sure.
Like there's something implicitly queer about Tyler Durden, but that's not a gay character.
No. Brad Pitt gay characters. Searching. Brad Pitt has famously never played a gay character.
Famously, wow, thank
Well,
you.
that's the AI.
Google
Yeah.
AI. No, I appreciate that editorializing. Yeah, that's interesting. I mean, yeah, now that we've mentioned it, of course, he was in Interview with the Vampire, another movie where he played a very queer
Straight
character.
version of a queer character. Yeah.
Straight down the lens. Yeah. So, questions to be answered here, Mr. Bradley Pitt.
Huh.
What a jerk.
What an asshole.
Two more men that I want to mention before we move on, and they are men.
And I
Because,
think
as
I
we
know which men you're talking about.
masculinity is defined by height in our culture. Not by me, I love a short king. I'm Tom Holland all the way. But Tyler Mane, 6'8", Nathan Jones, 6'11", playing the two just giants in the two armies. One of them plays Ajax, the other plays I don't know who, someone less important, but who dies in the very first battle scene of the movie. Ajax gets a little more screen time and is played by Tyler Mane, who also played Sabretooth in the first X-Men movie.
Oh, right. Okay, I knew that name from somewhere.
Oh, both these actors, I think, are wrestlers.
Yeah. The first one in the film, his name is again?
Nathan Jones.
Nathan Jones? Sploosh. That man could rip me in half.
He could.
Literally. He is beautiful. And that body, whew, damn. Is it 35 degrees out here, or is it just me?
No, it is. It is 35 degrees.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, he's the first person to get the sword straight through the neck, courtesy of Brad Pitt. And it almost looks like he can survive it. Like,
I
there's
thought
just
he
so
was
much
going
body
to.
there.
Yeah.
Like, never mind. Yes, a short but beautiful cameo.
Yes. And Ajax was a great role for a big man.
Yeah.
And I thought his character was fun to watch.
Now let's move on to the music of Troy. There is a bit of backstory here. The original composer was Gabriel Yared, and he was dropped fairly last minute and replaced by James Horner.
That's why it feels like there are two scores in this film.
Maybe so. I mean, I don't know how much of the original score they kept in.
Was it the wailing? Did they keep the wailing?
You got it. You named it. Yeah. Tanya Karovska is the singer, a Macedonian singer, and she was in both versions of the score.
Wow, I just had this feeling because, first of all, at one point during the movie, I looked at everyone and said, "This is Star Trek music," and that's when I did the research and found out it was James Horner who did the Wrath of Khan, some of the most famous Star Trek music ever created. So it was very James Horner. It was almost a direct ripoff of himself.
James Horner with a last-minute assignment.
Yeah. He said, well, I don't know. Yeah, perfect.
Oh, I like that. I like the jazzy stuff.
And then you throw in some wailing.
And a fussy neck.
I could not stand the wailing, and I'm sure that... Well, no, I'm not sure. It was meant to feel culturally appropriative. No, it was meant to feel culturally appropriate and not end up culturally appropriative, which it did.
Yeah. And it's never clear what they think they're doing. Like, it was a big part of the score for Gladiator. So again, that's one of the reasons every film afterwards also had to have wailing in it. Hans Zimmer did it better,
Yes.
That's just a fact. And it's, who do they think that this is Turkish whaling? Do they think this is Greek whaling? They hired a Macedonian who is neither of the above.
And who would be furious to be conflated with either of those people.
You would think so. Like, they're historically not great friends. It's 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 an attempt to do something culturally valid without really doing the homework, it felt like to me.
Yeah, yeah,
But what do I
much like
know?
this film.
The other piece of music that we must discuss, this film does have a theme, an outro song, Remember by Josh Groban, featuring Tanya Karowska on the whales
That
and
was
the backup
shocking
vocals.
to me that
Yeah,
we had a 90s era theme song
like a Prince of
plopped
Egypt
in.
ballad.
Like, what's that song from the end of Goldeneye by Eric Serra that no one remembers?
Yeah,
That's the feeling that I got from this.
definitely. Yeah, it did not sell me. It did not make me suddenly go, maybe the music's all right. Maybe I like this.
No.
No. Sorry, Josh
And
Groban.
also I was like, this is the perfect song for Josh Groban. I am not really a Josh Groban fan. I'm so sorry to this man. But that music, I'm like, yeah, this is what it's good for.
Yeah. Well, the culture demands that we have people like Josh Groban in it, and
Yeah, I
good for him.
guess. Yeah.
Let's talk about the fashion. The main note that I have here is thighs.
Thighs and bare chests.
Yeah.
That's good for me. I'm
Yeah.
I was happy with the amount that I saw.
Great golden thighs all the way through. And also
Hmm.
these, I thought, rather fetching blue tunics with like cropped waists and very deep V's, a very vibrant color, which I think would be accurate to the time. I don't know that the style or cut was accurate, but the idea of people wearing vibrant colors, I think, is true.
Hmm.
And yeah, everyone had a version of this tunic that they would wear, and they would all style them slightly differently in sort of a jaunty, like look at my décolletage sort of way, or like let me hike it up above the thigh a little bit more, show you a bit more meat. Yeah, loved that look. It was the most androgynous thing in the movie.
Yeah. And that's about all I can say for the fashion. I mean, there was some diaphanous capes and
Yeah,
dresses, looking at you, Julie Christie, on the beach. But for the
lots of
there was
robes, a
lots of robes,
lot of
some leather,
jewels,
some jewels. Did
some good
appreciate
armor.
some good leather armor. That looked
Yeah,
good. But at the end of the day, this is a movie about warring gladiators.
yeah.
Armies. And so the fashion really took a backseat for me in this film.
Yeah, I think it could have been worse, but it could certainly have been better as well.
Yeah,
Like it's very like safely in the middle,
inoffensive.
inoffensive. But you know, they did play to the strengths of their leading men. I'll give them that.
Inoffensive?
Inoffensive, but also hot.
Yeah.
Speaking of inoffensive, let's talk about the queerness in this film.
I mean, I spoiled my thoughts on this. Garrett Hedlund was the only one who was playing a queer character.
Yeah.
And we were written out of this film. We were just totally ignored. And
The
that was expected. Honestly, that's what I expected from this.
the story I haven't read the Iliad. I don't know how Homer covers this, but the story makes very little sense to me if Achilles is not in love with Patroclus and if Patroclus is not in love with Achilles. Like that intensity of emotion. Like you could say, oh, they were bestest bros. I mean, that is basically what a lot of historians do say. Oh, you can be that intensely in love with another man and it's not a sex thing. But I'm like, at that point, it's a love, it's romantic. Like,
And
even if you
especially
don't think they were banging, and they were probably banging because, like life, men find a way. I hate to break
yeah,
this to you, history, but men will always find a way to bang someone that they're in love with,
it's like,
or
how
try
much
to.
context do we need from history? Like, oh, we've unearthed more urns that have more men fucking on them. They must have been
And must
good
have slipped.
friends. They must have just
Very
been.
good friend.
Yeah, this was just a thing that they did back then. It's not something we do now.
It looks a lot like something in a Tom of Finland illustration, but it's
But
not
no,
that.
no, trust us.
No,
Trust us. We know
no.
better. Like,
And in this
oh,
movie, they are cousins. Like that is the relationship that we are told over, which may
well,
be true
well,
actually,
I was going
because
to
who
say
knows?
it was ancient Greece, so they
Yeah.
probably were also cousins. There were only like okay, there this is one of those movies where you see this giant fleet of ships and they're all manned to the gills. And I think there are more people on those ships than lived in all of ancient Greece at that time in actual history. So just for some perspective, like everyone actually was related to each other.
So yeah, you just have to bang your cousin, apparently. I'm not
Yeah,
endorsing it. So yeah, we instead of the intensity, because basically they have to know Homo the whole thing. So in order to make this not a queer movie, they have to play Achilles as very hetero and having almost no feelings for Patroclus. Like by the time that he sort of spurred into action again at the end, towards the end of the movie, and goes after Hector, it's like, well, what? You, why? You don't
why do you
care.
care so much? That was your
Yeah, like
sparring partner. Like all
yeah,
the
he was
only
a
relationship
servant,
we
basically.
know is that he was very servile to Achilles
Yeah,
and that they fought in some ruins at the top of the film, like
yeah,
in a fun way. Like, ha ha ha, I'm
yes.
going to murder you. There was
These
nothing.
swords don't signify anything.
Yeah, there was nothing to suggest that absolutely devastated information that he received. Like it was
Yeah,
just so overblown, his reaction to Patroclus' death, that there must have been something missing.
yeah.
I can't imagine what it was.
What's that say? Yeah, and Briseis is a real character from the story as well. Like she shows up in every version of this story. The extent to which she is a wife or a helpmate to Achilles can vary from telling to telling, but I don't think this was the most compelling version of that relationship. Uh, I think it's generally understood that she was the fag hag to Achilles and Patroclus, and she was grateful to be around men who weren't interested in assaulting her. You know,
Right.
that's a very valid reading of that character and why she stays in the camp.
That was one of the only things that I thought that this film did right, to be honest, was that she finally like found a man who wasn't going to sexually assault her. And of course,
Yeah.
in the end, kind of works out that way. But I mean, that was the most believable moment where she was about to be assaulted, and he comes in and says, "No, she's mine now." And the relief in her eyes, like, oh, thank God, this faggot is not going to do that to me.
Wait, what? He wants to have sex with me too? Oh my God. Deal with your issues, Achilles. It's not a movie where sex really comes into it very much. Like we get Achilles and Briseis get a sex scene, but yeah, we do not acknowledge that men were having sex with other men. We do not acknowledge that camp followers are a thing, that there would have been a bunch of sex workers. Like there are so few women in this movie, so the existence of camp followers doesn't come up. Not that they were all women, I'm sure. So yeah, it is a very sexless movie in that regard as well. And so that further counts against its queerness.
Yeah. And I mean, was 2004 a sexless era? I guess so. I lived through it
A bit, yeah.
sexless. But yeah, no, I mean, are we still living in that sexless era? Kind of. Marvel movies
Kind of.
really extended the sexless era for another 15 years at least. I think we're just
Yeah.
starting to get out of it where people are like ready to have sex on film again.
Right.
Or
And where people
have
are making like,
sex. Yeah, like in
yeah,
quotes.
that's,
Because you
yeah,
can
like
see
erotic
people having sex
thrillers.
on film at all times. I just want to put that out there if you weren't aware. But as for movie stars
Wait.
pretending to have sex on film,
Yeah, I feel like erotic thrillers are making a sort of slow, steady comeback mostly through streaming. But yeah, I'm here for a revival of sexy movies,
yeah, me too.
even though it makes me hiccup, apparently. Uh, any final thoughts on this extravaganza?
You know, like I said at the top, this was, despite everything I just said, a fun movie to watch. Like
Mhm.
I thought that it was engaging. I thought that the action scenes were great. I mean, bring back practical effects. There's nothing like
Yeah.
watching like 1,000 extras running into each other with actual swords and actual
Yeah.
shields on gigantic sets. Obviously, that's why this film costs so much money to make. But
Yes.
it felt real, and that is why this was the 60th highest grossing film of all time at its time.
Right.
Like, if you put the money into it, then you will get that money back, and we hope that that's what we are about to see in the Odyssey.
Yes.
So I enjoyed this experience. I'm just so let down by this experience as well.
Yeah, I think the Odyssey will be a very different experience because we know that Christopher Nolan is a very different director to Wolfgang Petersen. But
Maximalist. Yeah.
but whether he will actually give us the things that we would love to see more of, like queerness, like strong women,
That's the
remains to be
real.
seen.
Oh, I'm
Yeah,
nervous. I'm nervous.
yeah,
I mean, he has
and it's going to be
Elliot
so
Page in
long.
there. So,
Yes, true.
I mean, that is the glimmer that I'm holding on to is like if we can recognize trans identities in an epic like this, then there
Yeah,
could be hope for us all.
yeah. And Tom Holland is in it, and that's the twink that I'm holding on to.
I wish.
Chance would be a fine thing. All right, so what are we going to score this movie? We give every movie that we review a base score between 0 and 5 stars, and then we give bonus points on the 5 categories that we have just discussed. The women, the boys, the music, the fashion, the queerness, that gives us our gay score, and then a combined score out of 10. We may also apply a penalty if the movie did anything particularly offensive or egregious. Shane, kick us off.
This is tough. Like the generous part of me wants to give it a 3 because it was a
Okay.
fine movie. The the
Yeah,
the
I
the bitchy part of me wants to give it a 2. But I think we'll save I think this is a fine movie. I'm gonna give it a 3.
I'm going to give it a 2. So there we are.
Shit, I should have gone with it. Follow your heart, Shane.
Read into it what you will. The women of the movie.
Rose Byrne alone cannot save this movie. Julie Christie's cameo cannot save this movie. I'm sorry.
No, it's not. It's not good enough. The boys of this movie, on the other hand, I feel like that has to get a point.
Yeah, Eric Bana for sure. Garrett Hedlund, absolutely.
Definitely a boy though.
18. It's legal.
18. It's fine. That's yeah. The music of this movie.
I did like hearing the score from Star Trek II: The Wrath of Khan. I did not like hearing the Macedonian wailing. Yeah, that grating noise. I cannot give it the point.
No. Josh Groban. No. Sorry,
Oh
mate.
God. Every time
Not gonna
you
happen.
mention it, I just put it out of my head the moment we stopped talking about it, and I forgot for an instant that he had that song.
The fashion of the movie.
No. One tunic
I'm
does not a
more
fashion make.
I'm on the fence. I think it is a very sumptuous movie. I think the costumes are pretty good. I do love the blue tunic. I think ultimately, though, nothing stands out for me. There's no really grand moment. You know, if they had put Helen of Troy in an outfit like as good as Solitaire's outfit in Live and Let
Live and
Die,
Let Die. Exactly. Like
that's what we needed.
that could have changed her character too, because then we'd be like,
Yeah.
oh, like sure it's a pretty face, but she was fabulous. So yeah, no.
Yes.
And the other thing about the fashion is like sometimes we award it for sets, design, for like
Yeah.
fashion encapsulates so much. And while I appreciate that everything was practical, everything was also beige and gray because it
Yeah.
was all done on a beach and on beachside towns that like were washed out and they all had the same yellowish beigeish look to these buildings
Yeah.
and yeah, it was almost distracting at how dull the film looked.
There's been a bit of commentary to go back to Christopher Nolan's Odyssey about the fact that he is doing sort of very fantastical elements. Not only does he have the god and mythology elements in there, but some of the design, especially I think it's the Myrmidons, have these incredible dark, towering armor looks. And people were like, "Wait, I thought Christopher Nolan was going to give us like the truest version," and it's like, no. Turns out that's not what he wanted to do, and that's not what he's giving us. And that is a movie that looks like it's going to have the bold aesthetic that this movie could have had.
Good,
We'll see if it's
good.
completely washed out by the cinematography, but so yeah, I've talked myself out of giving this movie a fashion point, basically. And the queerness.
Skip.
0-0. So that is a fabulous gay score of 1 from each of us.
In this film set in the gayest time in human history.
Based around one of the great queer love stories. Does this movie get a penalty, though? Because, I mean, we've already said it doesn't get the queer point, it doesn't get the point for the women.
I feel like those were the penalties, because those should have been
Yeah,
the points that we gave
that
this
should have been the
film.
point.
So no, I'm not going to give it an extra penalty. I just know that I'm disappointed in you, Troy.
So it's a 4 from you. No, wait. Yes,
Yeah,
it's a 4
yeah.
from you. It's a 3 from me. It's a 3.5 overall. Hey, we had fun.
We had fun. We had fun. Once again, this is a watchable film. Like, you could pop
Very
this film
watchable.
on today and enjoy yourself. I'm
Sunday
just
tea
saying
time.
there are problems with it.
Yeah. There's an extended cut. I didn't make you watch the extended cut. I've never seen the extended cut. I don't know what's in it, but
I don't think I could do
I
it
would
for
not
3
recommend
hours.
it. No.
I know you're going to
It's
make me
quite
watch
enough.
Alexander, and I'm already, like, bracing myself for that experience, so...
I don't know. I haven't rewatched that film in such a long time.
I think we have to.
It has some charms. Colin Farrell. It
Colin
also has
Farrell.
Jared Leto, though.
We've done a lot of Jared Leto films on this
We
podcast.
have actually, yeah. I mean, 2, but that's a lot.
That's a lot. That is more than I wanted to cover.
Much more. Okay. If you enjoyed this episode, please remember to like, share, subscribe, hit that like button down below. Share this video on social media or in your group chat. Tell a friend to come by. Tell an enemy that really hates woke movie critics.
Yeah. You could also watch Tron Ares.
Yes.
Or what was that other one we just did?
Masters of the Universe.
Masters of the Universe. So there's a lot of content out there.
With some Jared Leto in it. Thank you so much for watching, and until next time, kiss.
Bang, bang. If you enjoyed this video, please click the like button and subscribe to this channel. You can follow Kiss Kiss Bang Bang on Instagram, TikTok, Blue Sky, and Letterboxd at KKBBpod, or email us at kisskissbangbangpod@gmail.com.
Kiss Kiss Bang Bang is recorded in Toronto on the traditional territory of many nations, including the Mississaugas of the Credit, the Anishinaabe, the Chippewa, the Haudenosaunee, and the Wendat peoples.